everybody, and welcome to the B-Baby channel. My name is Samantha. I'm the CEO and the founder of B-Baby. And this is going to be the first video of hopefully a pretty good series of vlog, if you will, of our home birth experience for this upcoming baby. As many of you may know, if you've been in our B-Baby family Facebook group, and I'll drop the link in the description below if you're not there, amongst being obviously a nurse, a pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, sleep, and parenting consultant, I'm also the mom of 4 beautiful children. I had 4 children in just under 5 years, and I am presently 36 weeks and 5 days with our final and 5th child. And we have a home birth planned. So we asked, our community if they would be interested in us vlogging about it, and it was a big yes. So we are trying our very first vlogging experience. Now, normally this would start with, why did we choose a home birth? How did we choose our midwife and what have you? But because I'm already 36 and 5 days, and I have an inkling that I may birth this baby a little bit earlier than usual, I wanted to start by showing you the birthing supplies that we have ready for our home birth, just in case baby comes and then my supplies are, taken out of the boxes and, there's this whole mess going on. So while everything is like packed and ready to go for the home birth, I figured it would be the best time to show you. So this video is going to be about home birth supplies. However, I will make sure in following videos to talk a little bit more about, our choice for a home birth, how we ended up choosing our midwife, and what have you. So before I show you the supplies, it's a little bit important for you to understand my past birthing experiences, because that does impact the supplies that I use or I don't use. We have had 4 births. All of them were natural, vaginal, epidural-free births. The 2 first were in a midwifery birthing center. The 3rd was a home birth, and then the 4th was an unassisted vaginal birth in a hospital. We have always wanted to do home births with all of our children. However, we have moved a lot. And to weird places. And so because of that, we haven't been able to have home births with all of them because we were out of geographic area or for whatever reason. We also had 2 COVID babies, so that definitely had an impact. But for this 5th baby, we are in South Florida. And so here, getting a midwife for a home birth is way easier than in many other places. So the minute that we found out that we were expecting, I think I was, just a few weeks along, I called, one of the highly recommended midwives in our area and secured our spot. So that is what we are preparing for, and we're very happy and excited that our last birth is going to be a beautiful home birth. So let's move into all the supplies. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where they are in the house and why they are set up in a specific way. And then we're just going to go ahead and open, each container and show you what's inside. So this is my living room. And say hi to Daddy over there. This is where we're actually hoping to set up the birth pool, because I prefer water birth. So this is where we're hoping the birth will actually take place. Now, because of that, and because I have many tiny humans, we have stored all of our birth supplies right there in those double doors, which is the homeschooling room of my children. The reason for that is it keeps it out of the way of the kids so that they don't go mess around with it. But it's also, just beside where we're hoping to set up the birth. And shortly, in probably just a few days, we are actually going to take that birthing pool that you see in that big blue bag and going to fill it up at the right height. And I'll explain that a little bit later, and just leave it, in that room, because that room has, these double doors. It's super practical because we can just pull it out.
All right, so I'm gonna start with the essentials of, you know, a water birth because that is what we are having. And then I'm gonna move along to more, you know, supplies that can be used for any type of home birth. For this birth, we actually have the Birth Pool in a Box Echo, which is the birth pool that we also used with our third. And so we love this pool. It's not super expensive. I don't want to lie, but I think it was around $200 to $300. Considering we're gonna have used it twice, and we're, you know, probably gonna sell it afterwards because these sell like hotcakes. So if you're in South Florida, you know, drop a comment. But the reason I love this pool is for various reasons. First of all, it is quite large, so it gives you a lot of room. And if your husband or partner wants to jump in with you, there's more than enough space. The other thing is the sides of the pool, and you'll see this hopefully when we set it up in another video. The side of the pool has multiple different levels. I think it has about 3. And so you can blow it up to the height that works for you. And I am not a tall woman. I'm only 5'3", and my upper body, my trunk is very short. So if I'm on my knees and I want to lean over the birth pool and it's very, very high, I can't, and it's super uncomfortable for me. So I love this because no matter, you know, what your height is, I recommend you blow it up long before you go into labor, like at least a week, so that you can get in it and test the height of it while on your knees and, you know, just, you know, putting yourself in a position that you might feel comfortable in when you're laboring to make sure that it is at the proper height. The other thing that I love about this one is the bottom. So the floor of the pool is inflatable, which means if you're on your knees, if you're sitting at the bottom of the pool, if you're on all fours, you're on a cushion. So it's a lot more comfortable than, let's say, birthing in a tub. I actually have a very nice tub inside of our bedroom on the second floor that we could use for a home birth, water birth. But unless I feel the need to sort of like enclose myself, which could happen, I prefer to use this birthing pool because it is just nicer on your knees than being in a pool that, you know, in a tub that has a really stern bottom. So in order to use this pool, there's a few things that we use to make it a little bit easier that I highly recommend. This, which is just a simple pump, I think we paid maybe $20 or $30 on Amazon to blow it up. So basically, you know, it allows you to blow it up very, very quickly and at the preferred height and hardness that you desire. But even though it's very quick, I still recommend that you do this ahead of time. Sometimes labor, especially in home birth, because you're so comfortable, you're in your element, it can progress really quickly. And it's just an added stress that you don't want to be focusing on. So I prefer to blow it up a good week ahead and just make sure that you keep, you know, your pets and your kids away from it so that there's no accidents and they don't poke a hole. But we do like to keep on hand, although we don't have it right now, I don't think. But usually we do keep on hand a small little patch kit, just in case. You need a hose to fill it up with water. However, you can't use any hose. You have to use a clean water, sterile water hose that you can buy off Amazon. Again, it's not that expensive, but it needs to be a hose that has never been used before, basically. Now, some people use this hose to fill up the birthing pool, and then they'll use, you know, their dirty water hose from outside to empty it. Personally, we just bought a hose and we used it to fill it up, and then we used it to empty it after, and then for this birth we just got another hose. What you want to make sure is that it is long enough to reach whatever sink you're going to be using to connect it to to fill the birthing pool, and long enough so that you can connect it again to the sump pump or submersible pump or boat pump that you're going to use when you're done, that you're going to leave at the bottom of your birth pool with one end of the hose attached and the other end ideally in a shower or in a bath, so that you can empty the water and it will drain quicker. Now with this pool, you should use a liner so that if you want to use it again or if you want to sell it again, you can. So we use these liners that are specifically made for this pool, okay? So this is regular liner for birth pool in a box for the regular size. So basically this is just kind of like a big plastic sheet that is made in the perfect shape to fill the bottom of your pool and the sides. I forgot to mention, but this birthing pool also has a little inflatable, I want to say stool inside of it. Not a stool, like a little bench inside of it. It's like this high, but it's a little seat that you can sit on. So this little liner, you know, goes in and covers the bottom and the seat and then goes over the top, which means when I'm done giving birth, I literally just put this pump in, empty it out in 10 minutes. We pull this liner out, we put it in the trash, and we just deflate the pool. There's no cleanup. There's absolutely no cleanup. A lot of people are afraid of water births and home births because they feel that they're very, very messy. They are not messy if you're well prepared. So this really allows us to be well prepared. Beyond that, you're obviously going to need adapters. So we have adapters for plugging this to the sink, and then also attaching it to the submersible pump so that we can empty it afterwards. Just make sure that you test all your adapters before go time to make sure that everything is good. And we also have this little hand pump that actually came, I believe, at the pool to fill it up. I would never try to fill this giant pool with this. I mean, I feel like that would be a workout and it would probably send me into labor. So, you know, perhaps I should try. All right, so you might have noticed that I have stored everything in plastic containers. There's a few reasons for that. A, it keeps my kids out of it a little bit easier. And I also have cats, and I do not want any pet dander to get into these boxes. It also allows me to store it very easily. And if something gets, you know, wet or soiled during birth, we can just throw it in there and it doesn't matter, and we can clean it up later. So that's why I use that, but you don't need to. So for this water birth, we also have this, which is just your basic tarp that's gonna go on the floor underneath the birthing pool to make sure that, you know, if we're getting in and out, we're not, you know, dropping water all over the floor. So any tarp will do. You don't need to buy one specifically for your birth. We just happen not to have any. So we bought one. Now, we also have these. These are what we call in Canada, we call them PKs. Now, they have another name in the United States and I can't remember the life of me, but they're basically those little hospital pads that you can put at the bottom of bed so that, you know, if you bleed or there's any bodily fluids whatsoever, it's not gonna leak past this. And then you can just roll it up and put it in the wash. Now, basically you can buy these or you can buy doggy pads. And I believe we have both, I'll check, but I prefer to use these because they are softer, they are more comfortable, and they don't make a weird paper plastic sound when you're sitting on them versus pee-pee pads. So I have 3 bottles of peroxide. Now this is an old nursing trick. If you get blood on clothing, on sheets, on any sort of material, if you drown it in peroxide and then just like rub it and then rinse it and put more peroxide on it, it will all go away. It will literally bubble up and all the blood will just sort of rinse itself out, and then you can put it in the wash. It is the best, most magical trick. I used it in the ICU all the time. So I have these because inevitably, no matter how weird I am about, you know, using these nice, comfortable things and, you know, trying to avoid a mess will happen a little bit. So these are fantastic. We also have Ziploc bags. Part of the reason for that is to put the placenta in afterwards. Whether, you know, no matter what you decide to do with it, whether you're disposing of it or you're planting it or you're making, you know, a placental imprint or what have you, you should have giant freezer grade Ziploc bags. We also have some trash bags because although we don't really have a whole lot that is disposable, we might actually need some. And we have some Scott towel. I have absolutely no idea why, but it was on our midwife's birth supply list. So we got Scott towel, I guess to clean up messes. And then finally we have the handheld mirror. Now, I don't personally use it, but a lot of women will like to be able to use a mirror to look down and see their baby's crowning. The reason we have it is our midwife actually needs it to be able to look underwater with a little bit more ease. So we have a little handheld mirror, and that covers most of what we need in relation to a home birth. So now we're gonna move on to others. Okay, so moving out of the water birth situation, our midwife actually, most midwives when you're having a home birth will send you a supply list. We, you know, got her what she asked for, but we also added a few items that we know that we use. One of the things that they will ask you is towels. Ideally not your home towels because they don't want you to get them stained or damaged. So we actually went on Amazon and I found these for pretty cheap. I think I paid $20 in towels. And they came in a set. So we also have them in our room now. But we got 3 large towels, 3 hand towels, and then 3 face towels, face cloths. And I chose these because A, they were cheap and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. But second of all, they are like super soft. And then this is where my inner struggle begins, because my midwife asked for us to have these, which are basically Depends female diapers. Now, I know a lot of women absolutely love these after birth in order to contain the lochia. I have personally never used them in 4 babies, but my midwife insisted that I needed to have them, absolutely. So I bought a few, but I have never used them. I don't know, I feel like it would be uncomfortable for me to be sitting in my juices, if you will, which it kind of feels like this would be. And also, again, I'm a really weird person when it comes to birth. I like to feel nice and look nice, and I don't know. But I know that women swear by these, and they say that they are so comfortable. So we might give them a try. But so I'd encourage you, if you're a little bit less finicky than me, give these a good try. I, however, really like using these, which are disposable, reusable pads. Now, these are a little bit smaller than the ones I usually use, but I like these because they're made of bamboo. They're very comfortable. And I don't like the maxi pads, like the regular pads that they usually recommend, because it kind of feels like you're sitting on a pole. Like, they are so large, and so they ride up your hoot, and it kind of feels like you're sitting on a metal pole, which is really uncomfortable. So these are really nice. They're really comfortable. The only downside is you're gonna need to wash them like a lot, because at the beginning you bleed a lot, and so you have to change these very frequently, and so you have to do a lot of laundry, which I don't mind doing because I have a lot of children, so we do a lot of laundry to begin with. Now, the other thing that I like, and these are my personal favorites, it's after birth. So after birth, sometimes your hoo-ha gets a little bit irritated for various reasons. Maybe you have a little bit of, you know, a stretch of the skin that happened. Maybe you have a small tear, or maybe there's just a lot of blood down there. You know, the blood has rushed into your vagina and it just feels very irritated and swollen. So I have a few products that I really, really enjoy. Now, this has got to be the best one. I don't know if you guys can see. Okay. This is from Earth Mama. It is a perineal balm, and it was actually recommended to me by a friend this time around. And I actually used this in pregnancy. After being intimate sometimes in late pregnancy, things can feel a little bit irritated at times. And this is incredibly soothing, incredibly soothing. It is literally a nice little balm. I really recommend it. It smells really fresh, but it has, you know, that cooling minty effect. It feels very, very nice. Now, it also comes in a spray. So we also got the spray. Now, you could probably do, you know, fine with just the spray. But when I found it, it came in a kit of 3. So we ended up getting the balm, the spray, and the herbal sitz bath. Now, I have to put it into focus so you can actually see it. Now, I'm happy that I actually got the 3-item kit, because I ended up, like I said, using some of this before, you know, actually giving birth. I've used one of these already to put in my regular bath, just because I felt at times just heavy and irritated, and it felt very nice. So I highly recommend it. And then I love these. I have used these for every single one of my births. They are Tux pads. You can buy them at any pharmacy that you have, and they are medicated cooling pads that are intended for hemorrhoids, but they're made with witch hazel. And if you've given birth before, you know everything to do about witch hazel. Witch hazel is this liquid that is, you know, medicated, that usually you'll fill, you know, maxi pads with. You'll put them in the freezer and you might want to sit on them. I've never used, you know, witch hazel pads before, but I love these because they are the perfect thing to use in the postpartum period after you go to the washroom. So you use, you know, toilet paper, and yeah, you make sure that you wipe down there, but I like to use these after. They come into these nice little circles, and they clean the area really well to prevent infection, but they also give that soothing, soft, you know, minty, again, effect on your hoo-ha and on your bottom. So I feel like these are awesome. I have a big container that I leave at home, and then I have a smaller one that I actually bring in my baby bag during the first few weeks after birth. These are my personal favorite. Now for the baby. So we have coconut oil. After you give birth, shortly after, your baby is going to have his first poop, which we call meconium. Now that first poop is black and it's tarry looking, and it is sticky. It is super sticky. And so it tends to stick on their skin, and it makes it really hard to clean off of them. And they have such sensitive little skins. And so they can get irritated very, very quickly. So we have coconut oil that we can apply on their bum in the first few days while the meconium is changing into the normal yellowish, you know, breastfeeding poop that we like to see, that is much easier to clean. just so that as they poop, if it goes onto their bums, it's easier to clean. This is also a great, you know, way to moisturize your skin as well. The only thing you don't want to use this for is to treat sunburns. So coconut oil. We have Advil post-birth. You'd be surprised. I do not use any drugs when I give birth whatsoever, but after birth, I have very intense afterbirth contractions, you know, that move your uterus back into place. Mine are abnormally intense, and so they're extremely painful. So I like to keep on hand Tylenol in particular, but my midwife prefers ibuprofen, so we got some of those. And I also like to have on hand some naproxen. This plus After Ease tincture, which you can buy online, which is a natural product, saves my life after birth. All right, so moving to the more babyish items, I have a nice muslin blanket that I have purchased in order to swaddle my newborns. So I usually use this mostly at the beginning. After they become a little bit bigger, I find these a little bit complex to use, and so I use Velcro swaddles. Once they get a little bit bigger, I find they fight out of swaddles, and it can become very difficult to keep them swaddled, and they grow so fast. And so I buy these, which are Velcro swaddles, which are just easier to use. Now, I like to swaddle until about 8 weeks, and then it's deemed unsafe, and so I move them out of the swaddle. But I love these because when you are transitioning out of the swaddle, it's much easier to do one arm out for a few nights and then 2 arms out and then the body out. So it allows the transition to be a little bit easier. These are Swaddle Me that I got off of Amazon as well. And now I also like to have one nice soft fluffy blanket that we can, you know, cuddle in. So I have one of these right now. Specifically after birth, I tend to get a little bit cold, and so I like to put my baby skin to skin and just cover us up with something nice, fluffy, and comfortable like this. And then my midwife made me buy a ton of these, which I don't tend to use a whole lot, but I mean, I have them now, so I'll use them. You gotta buy what the midwife tells you to buy. They all have their own little specific things. But these are basically little blankets that you can throw over your shoulder if your baby is burping milk on you. You can also use them to put on the floor if you're gonna change a diaper on the couch or what have you. So I got these, they're very cheap. I have my breast friend pillow at the ready. This pillow, guys, if you have followed me for any amount of time on Facebook, I have a love story with this pillow. It is magnificent. They should pay me to talk about this pillow, which they don't, by the way. I just really love it. So it's a nice little pillow that actually ties, and you can tighten it so that it really, you know, fits around your body nicely. And it has a portion that goes in your back, which makes a huge difference. And on the part of it that the baby lays, on each side, there's a bump to actually lift the baby's head a little bit higher. A lot of breastfeeding issues that I see come from initial latches because women are just not shown an easy, effective way to get a good latch. This pillow has this nice little bump, which naturally will raise the head of the baby a little bit higher and helps prevent some of those latch issues. It's very comfortable. It has a little pocket where you can put, you know, a snack, a water bottle, remote control. All right, so that covers it for the birthing supplies. As you can see, it doesn't actually take that much stuff. This is a water birth. It does, you know, require a little bit more stuff than perhaps a land birth. However, it's not all that much. Most of this you would need to, like a lot of this you would need to get, you know, if you're having a normal birth, you know, like the pads and the peri sprays and towels and that sort of thing anyways. So it's
one of the things that, you know, I wanted to explain is this is my 5th birth. I've had, you know, water birth with 3 of them already. And so I've minimized the amount of things that I actually need to the things that I know that I use. So that is it for the home birth supplies. So that's going to be our very first video of this vlog. Please let us know how we did on this, and any comments and suggestions before we move on to filming, you know, why we chose a home birth, how we chose a midwife, and then eventually, hopefully, filming the birth as well. So this is very new to me. I'm not, you know, a vlogger. So just, you know, give me the tea. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did good, and we will adjust moving forward. Please make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you comment to encourage us, and share with people around you so that we can educate a little bit more when it comes to home birth.